All right, welcome everybody. My name is David DeCamillis, and we are going to give everyone just one more minute because we're still seeing people join. Just want to, I hate to repeat for those that have heard this, but there's a Q&A button at the top. You can put your questions in there, and once again, we're going to share the recording and the deck with everyone. Should receive it by email probably by tomorrow. So just give it, people are still joining. Steve, Julie, you guys ready to start?
Yep.
You guys good?
Let's go.
Yes, we're ready to start.
Let's do it. Awesome. Once again, I'm David DeCamillis. I am the CEO and founder of MSP Boost Consulting, and I'm happy to host the webinar today with Steve Neverve of Nevtec and Julie from Microsoft. She's the Copilot expert who's going to be joining us today. We are going to cover basically the beginning of your journey with Copilot, how you can prepare your business to start taking advantage of this awesome AI technology within your Microsoft platform. So I will turn it on over to, sorry, Steve. I will turn it over to Steve first, and he can tell you about himself and Julie, and let's get started. There you go.
I want to thank everybody for joining. Hi, this is Steve Neverve. I'm the president of Nevtec. I want to, again, thank you guys for showing up today. What we're trying to do, and the goal here is really just to provide some information on what Copilot can do for your business, especially when you have the Microsoft Office 365 suite. I invited Julie Hodges, who's a Microsoft expert with us today. Most of you guys hear from me all the time, so hopefully you get a fresh face with Julie. And Julie's a wealth of knowledge, so please ask her any questions. And without further ado, Julie, please take over.
All right, thank you. I'm just gonna take control. Give me 1 minute. Also, just like to say that my profile picture, I made it with Copilot. So if you don't have a professional headshot, you be the judge if you feel like it's a good rendition of a picture of me. But thank you for including me on this webinar. I'm obviously very passionate about all things Copilot. And like Steve said, this is really an introduction into Copilot, although we're going to give you some good use case examples so you can hopefully see how you might be able to use it in your own daily work. And there will hopefully be some more sessions of this as we move further in to enablement, adoption, and an extension of Copilot in future sessions. So just want to start with, as you are, you work in your companies, you're there to obviously, you find clients, you're there to make money and to get your services out to the public. And it's very important that you need to consider utilizing AI in your own companies to maximize the output, have a better work-life balance for your employees, be better, faster, smarter, because the AI curve is accelerating across all industries. So even if you say, hey, like this really isn't something that's AI not affecting me, it is affecting you. And likely anyone who's your competition, if they're already utilizing AI to be able to create faster, deliver faster, all of these things, you may be left behind. So if you feel like it's not for you, you're not ready for it, hopefully you'll find this session will open your eyes to where Copilot might be able to help you and how you want to get started. So just want to start here with where Copilot wows. You can obviously read the slide, but just see that there's so many places in your everyday work where you can utilize Copilot to be your actual, just literally think of it as having an assistant. If you had an assistant who was always excited, never tired, knew how to find everything, could write really well, wouldn't that be great for you in your job if you had that? If you have Copilot, that's literally what you have. And so it's more than just putting in a prompt and asking a question. Like I admitted earlier to Steve, when I first started using Copilot, I basically used it just to Google things and to find answers that were out on the web. Well, the best part about Copilot is that it's like it works within your own Office 365 tenant. So anything that's in your tenant that you have access to, you can get that. I mean, I think on here, the quickly find content, the search, honestly, how many times have I made a presentation, a deck, or a document, and I'm like, final, and then I have to go back and find it, and guess what? I can't find it. And then I'm like spending all this time finding it. Copilot search, it finds it in a second, and it gets into everything. And then I know that Steve had an example of how he used one of the agents that's available for Copilot, and that is what I was saying. Copilot agents are an extension of Copilot, which is your AI assistant, and can even help you even further. So Steve, if you want to give your example, that'd be great.
Sure, yeah. I'll go for two things. One is with the Copilot search. I use it daily. Give me a summary of every meeting I've had with this person over the last 6 weeks, 2 weeks. We do a meeting, summarize this meeting for me and give me the key bullet points and takeaways. It is huge. It saves so much time and it makes you look really good. You meet with someone and Copilot does all the work for you and you respond with, here's the summary of what we went over and the bullet points and the takeaways. The analyst and the researcher are huge for me. And I'll use these. I've sat down with several partners who are working on their marketing, trying to grow their businesses. So one of the things we did is we sat down and I said, let's prompt Copilot properly. And we put in a lot of stuff about their business. We're in this business, we're this size, we cover these markets. And once we get all that together, usually there's a little bit of refining, but then we come out and we reply with, who are the top 10 companies in this industry in the Bay Area, in San Jose and Fremont? And they'll get a list. And often I've had people say, wait a minute, this isn't correct, or this is good information, but how come I'm so low? And then that usually brings to another conversation of what we can do when we can work on search engine optimization and how they can better work with AI to get higher in those ranks. Because the reality is whatever people are putting in and then seeing, you want them to see that about you too. And that's the example I like to use in the marketing and finding new business. So hopefully that helps. And if anyone's interested, definitely can add value. We can have a meeting. I'm happy to go over it afterwards. But Julie, I don't want to steal your thunder.
I know. All right. Thank you, Steve. That great examples. And then again, my favorite agent and part of Copilot is this facilitator agent. So if you spend time in Teams meetings, like I do, I've been in meetings almost back to back all day. This is literally a lifesaver. Just saying it, when you have Copilot, it can actually help you set your agenda based on emails that you've had with the people that you're having a meeting about. So you don't even have to do that. Copilot will do it for you. And then then the agent will actually keep you on track based on the agenda that's in the invite. It'll say, hey, you're 10 minutes in and you're still doing introductions and you only have 20 minutes left. Like, it keeps you on track. And then maybe ask for you don't really have to raise your hand on this, but I'll raise mine and say, like, who's ever joined a meeting late? Have you ever come in late and then you sort of derail the meeting and you're like, hey, did we already go over the pipeline for Q4? And then not only are you announcing that you're late for that meeting, but you're derailing it because now they have to go back and go over it. Well, guess what? In Copilot, you can sneak in. Hopefully no one notices. And then you can just ask Copilot to recap the meeting so far. So you don't even have to announce that you've missed it. It'll tell you what you've gone over, and then you're good to go. I mean, I'll just raise my hand and be like, I am late to meetings, and I use that feature all the time. So there are a lot of great things about this facilitator. And again, I would like to say that if my company didn't provide this license to me, I would pay for this myself. Now, there's different versions of Copilot, but basically, it could turn out to be $1 a day. And for $1 a day, I would definitely use this because I am stuck in meetings all day. And this saves me, just like Steve said, like, it sends out the recap. It's amazing. And I can't live without it. So the early impact at Microsoft, how do we know that it works? Well, we make everyone use Copilot. We're asking everyone to use Copilot. Everyone has a license at Microsoft to use Copilot, and they are being tasked to use it. And actually, I just learned, which I wanted to mention, I was in Redmond about 2 weeks ago getting new training on Copilot, and even the Microsoft people who work there are being tasked with creating one agent a week, just so they can get used to creating it, and also coming up with some really great ideas and on business processes, how to automate them and make workflows better. And you'd be surprised if what people are coming up with. Someone who I think I heard the story, someone who does like network security came up with some onboarding business process like for HR, and he was just like, it would just make sense if we could just do this. And then he created an agent, and now they're implementing it. So just saying, we know that it works. Everyone at Microsoft is using it. I personally use it. So you can read across, just notice the different departments that are using it and the benefits that they're finding. And then the one that I like to highlight, which I can't believe Microsoft admits, on the human resources, the 42%, greater accuracy in answering questions on HR stuff. I mean, honestly, you would think that the HR stuff has to be right the first time, no matter what. And to find that they have 42% more accuracy kind of scares me a tiny bit. But also, that is one of the first agents that a lot of people create, is an HR agent. I honestly spent almost an hour trying to see if we had a company holiday for the day after Thanksgiving, and I couldn't find it. It was in a million different files, but with Copilot, you can find that in about 5 seconds. So one thing I would say is when you get Copilot, or if you have Copilot chat, so amongst yourselves, if you are on an Office 365 subscription, so just think, if you have Outlook, if you have Excel, PowerPoint, you're on an Office subscription. That means you do have access to the no-cost Copilot chat. So just think of that as like a Copilot Lite. But there are still some things you can do. And if you have a Copilot license, these are like the top 10 prompts, which prompt is basically your input into Copilot, asking it to do something, go find something, create, summarize. And even when I got my license, I didn't know what it can do. So I wasn't even sure what to ask it. You don't know what you don't know. So this top 10 to try is really good, because it basically makes you try a bunch of different things in the different applications, so you get the look and feel of how Copilot helps you. I mean, honestly, when I saw the Outlook and then help me draft an email, I sound so smart. I love it. But then sometimes I like to just make it sound more like me, and Copilot will get used to your own writing style, and then we'll begin to write like you are, so it doesn't sound like AI created it, which we can all see that right away. But anytime you're talking about Copilot, you do need to think about security, because as I've been mentioning, and on the next slide, I'm going to show you, Copilot basically has access to everything you have access to in your company. So if it's set up properly, turning on Copilot is really not going to be an issue. You're not going to be able to go in and ask Copilot, how much does David D. Camillus make? Like what was his, like I-9 or W-2 or whatever it's called. If you don't have access to it today, you will not have access to it when you turn on Copilot. But if you do, and maybe you just didn't know how to get to it, if you ask Copilot, it will come back, because it has access to your entire tenant. So the most important thing that people worry about with Copilot is this oversharing and data leaks. So that's like what you have access to. The second one that I think is more important is identification of risky AI use, because I know I'm here today talking to you about Microsoft Copilot, but I would be willing to bet, and maybe you could raise your hand if you're using, let's say, another AI tool that rhymes with ChatGPT or Gemini. So if we know a lot of people use those, and those do not have the enterprise protection that Microsoft Copilot has. So if you're allowing people to use those other tools in your company environment, you are incurring risk if they're uploading confidential data, if they're doing any of that. So you don't want to do that, and I'll give you an example in a minute. But back to, what does Copilot have access to, which is why people are worried about security. I mean, you can look at this infographic. It's basically everything. Everything in the tenant that you currently have access to, this is what Copilot will have access to. So maybe I'm in sales and I have access to whatever sales related things. Someone in HR has access maybe to only HR related things. I can't access the HR stuff if it's set up properly. So again, like, it's not total doom and gloom, but you need, someone on Steve's team from Nevtec to be able to at least go through and evaluate to make sure that maybe someone in HR just saved a folder somewhere that they just thought no one was going to find it because they have a weird name on it and no one's going to look. It's a couple folders deep. But if they put it out there for people to, without the classifications and the governance, people are going to find it. So just know that the good news is that Copilot has access to everything. So when you ask it to find, like, prep me for a meeting, get me prepare a document for a proposal, it can access all the stuff, which is amazing. And then it accesses all the stuff, which is a little scary. So again, I often hear, like, who trusts Microsoft these days? So you do trust Microsoft. They run your Outlook, you use their applications, you're running all the stuff. They would like you to know that your data is your data. They don't want your data. They are not using your data to train Copilot in any way. And again, I bring this up because of the shadow AI. If you're using another tool, they are using the data and the prompts that you're uploading to train their model. So that means if someone prompts it in exactly the way that you did and you uploaded a company document, they're going to get it. So just know, removing the first blocker. Don't worry, Microsoft doesn't want your data. They're not training the model. It's protected at every step of the way. Your information doesn't go out of your tenant and is encrypted at all times. So we do have the security story. And then this gets to the enterprise data protection. So I don't know if any of you have Copilot or if you have the Copilot chat, if you've seen it in your applications, but if you ever go to Copilot chat, on the main screen at the upper right-hand side, there's a green shield with a check mark. That means that has the enterprise data protection that's listed here on the slide. Even the free no-cost Copilot chat has the enterprise data protection. The paid version has the enterprise data protection. You'll see what it involves here. Like I mentioned, the encryption, privacy, access controls, compliance, and again, all the data stays inside of your tenant. Nothing goes out. And I can't stress enough how some of the other tools don't have this available. So at this point, I would just also, which most people know, but Copilot runs on GPT 5.4 and the previous version. So I say GPT, that sounds familiar, right? We were just saying one of the competitors is ChatGPT. So ChatGPT is the name of the large language model or the AI tool that OpenAI has. Well, Microsoft has a partnership with OpenAI, and we use that tool in Copilot. And we've also added Anthropic, if anyone is interested in that, which is available on some of the agents. But just know that ChatGPT does not have the enterprise data protection, but Copilot does. So if you're literally using ChatGPT, you should just be using Copilot because it's literally the same. So I just want to get that through. I'm very passionate about that. I feel like people don't understand that part of it. So if you have Copilot chat and you're putting things and you're still using other tools, you should just use Copilot chat. So wanted to give you a couple of use cases. We have a couple listed here, some manufacturing, construction, financial, and legal. Just to give you some real use cases based on who's on this session today. Some might resonate a little bit more with others. But let's say if you're in manufacturing, production managers spend a lot of time, I'm going to say, compiling reports from a lot of different sources. And honestly, I'm not in manufacturing, but I basically do the same thing. A lot of reporting, a lot of different places. Well, Copilot can help you there. And Microsoft has found that people in this position, and if you're doing a lot of reporting from a lot of different sources, utilizing Copilot can save you 4 hours a week. And I would say that's also like a lowball estimate. And then based on how much you might pay a production manager, just calculating out 4 hours a week for every week, it's an annual savings of $9,000. And that's just for one person. So a lot of people say, hey, I'm not sure I want to invest in Copilot. It's this cost. We're not sure we're going to see an ROI. This is where you see the ROI. If you can get 4 hours back in 1 week and save that amount of money, it's worth the small dollar amount that you would invest in Copilot for these people. So financial services,
Julie?
Same thing. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so we got a little bit of a late start, and I want to make sure we have Q&A. So for the industry slide, since we're going to be sharing the deck, let's go ahead and skip through this section, so everyone knows. Each of these industry slides is going to give you an example of one role on where you can save time. Obviously, if you take Copilot and apply it to every role, you can do the numbers and do the math. And these numbers were originally 4 times higher. That's what Microsoft gave us. We cut them down to 25%. So there's a lot of opportunity to save. Go ahead. Thanks.
All right. Yeah. So like what David was saying, so we have the construction, legal. So you can see you're going to get the deck. But basically the point is it's worth the investment. So if that's what's holding you back, that you're not sure you're going to get an ROI, here are some real use cases where you see the ROI and the money that you're saving, and also great work-life balance. And then this slide really sort of gets into how to get started with Copilot. First of all, just notice across the slide all the different departments or personas that can benefit from integrating Copilot into their daily work life. So it's not just sales or marketing, which comes up a lot, obviously, because Copilot can help create content like my headshot or even these slides for presentations. But it can be used in all of these different personas, and just saying that when you get started, be intentional with the seat assignment, so who gets a license. Because when I got it, there was someone on my team that all they did was Excel. They didn't find a lot of value at the time. This was right when Copilot was launched. Now they have it, because Excel to me is one of the best features of Copilot and how it can help. But just know that give it to people who are curious about AI, who really have an area of their business where utilizing Copilot can help save them a lot of time or automating business processes. Steve, going to hand it over to you for the foundations for success.
Sure. Okay, and I'll try and get us pick up some time, and I'm happy to talk to everyone about this. So there's 4 phases, and why do we need these? When you have Microsoft and you have Copilot, you've got some security in there, but it's only as good as your infrastructure is set up. If you're a Nevtec partner and we provide your IT services, for example, phase 1 is probably done. But phase 1, where a lot of companies bring us in, we go in and we do an analysis just to check their readiness, to see where they're at, look at their licensing, and help out. Same with phase 2. If you're one of our partners, the security is probably already there, but we still do our due diligence to make sure that those things are set up, that they're working well, and that you're protected. Where you'll be different on Microsoft is they don't take your information to learn their AI engine, where a lot of the other ones do. So you are protected. And so I think that's a key there. Now, once we get to phase 3, we're going to figure out, and 4, I'll just kind of mix them. Phase 3 and 4, we're going to figure out a subset of users. Who do we test this with? And we make sure that the users are getting the best out of it. Rather, I've had customers go, we want to buy 25 copies of Copilot right now and go. Let's start slow. Let's see who's going to use it. We can work with you, and we can tell you, hey, over the last month, here's what people have done. Here's the ROI you're seeing. So there's a lot of things you can do, so that if you do invest in this tool, you do want to make sure that people are using it. And to add on to what Julie said, I'm going to tell you guys this. I'm going to make it as simple as I can. If you do anything with Word, Excel, and you're constantly crunching numbers, you're constantly creating presentations, training models, HR, onboarding, and you have a repetitive process, Copilot with your existing documents works phenomenal. I'll give you a quick example. I've sat down with several partners and said, hey, we're going to be working on your budget for next year. And they go, we don't budget, Steve. I said, that's a thing of the past. I don't know how to budget. I said, I'm going to show you how to budget. And we've done this before, but Copilot makes it easier. We'll take 3 years of P&L. We'll put into Copilot. Again, your data is protected. It's not going to go anywhere. We'll put in some prompts. I want 10% growth here, 20% growth here. I want to cut expenses here. what used to take 15 or 20 hours, we can cut it down to a couple hours. It's not perfect, but it's one of the things that you can do. But making sure, like Julie said, that the security is set up, that your rights are set up, that is so important to make sure it's done. So we're happy to help with that, and go over anything on that you guys would want to know about. Julie, I'm going to give that back to you.
All right, yeah, sure. Thank you. And just wrap it up, so hopefully you have time for some questions. Just, learn from others' experience. Like I said, I have a lot of experience with partners and customers getting started with Copilot. So just here's a couple of things to look out for. It's always good to have, an executive sponsor or like an owner or sponsor, and making sure that if they care about it, the people who are getting these licenses care about it, and other people care about it, and that they're using it and integrating it into their daily lives. So a lot of people think like, oh, I'll get to it when I get to it. Like, no, you need to get started, and it's going to change your life. Again, the security, you have to have realistic expectations, which is why I say, like, think of specific people who have areas where you could find some quick wins. And then that way, the positivity, people find out about it, it spreads, and then everyone's going to want a Copilot license. Again, so transforming, like, have an implementation path or a plan. Like Steve said, you're going to look at your readiness for Copilot, identify the high impact cases, develop this plan. And then once you get going with a pilot program, you can see the benefits, and then you can expand out after that, and then get into agents maybe, which is something we'll talk about on another session. And then Steve, back to you.
So can I throw in a question? I just got one.
Sure.
How much does a license cost, and can we pay for it monthly?
So depending on what you have, licenses can change. And right now, Microsoft has some promotions. So that's kind of a hard question to answer. If anyone wants to reach out to myself, Anna, you can call us, you can email us at sales@nevtec.com. I'll make sure everyone has my email address. Or if you look at the scan to schedule here, you can either go to nevtec.com/contact or scan us with your phone, ask us questions. You're not going to get a hard pitch. You're not going to get a hard sale. We want to help people. So David, it's not the best answer, but I will say that with the promotions they have, I don't have them memorized by heart. But we'll get you those answers. I know we're about the time limit. So what I am going to do is I'm going to thank everybody for your time. We want to respect your time, and at the same point, you guys are all important to us. So I'm happy to hang around, answer any questions. If you guys need to go, we fully understand. So David, if you have other Q&A, please go. But I wanted to let people know, just thank you. And if you need to disconnect, we do understand.
Yeah, and then I will throw in, we'll share the deck. If you can scan this to schedule a consultation with Steve, complimentary. Obviously, if you're a customer, you can just reach out to Steve or the team to schedule with them. The next question I have is regarding shadow AI. What should we do about users who are already using AI?
Julie, you want me to take that one, or?
I mean, we can both take it. I think I've made it pretty clear that if they're using shadow AI, you need to tell them they shouldn't be doing it. I mean, I would just say where I work, we are not allowed to use any other AI tools because of the security. Even like not everyone has a full Copilot license. Some people have the Copilot chat, but we are not allowed. And I know a lot of other large businesses and small businesses that have the same policy. Again, if they're using ChatGPT, which runs on GPT-5, that's in Copilot. So there's really no reason why they should be using something else. So I don't know about enforcing it. Those are other things and how you would set that up. But that's something that the Nevtec team can work with you on, because there are ways to detect who's using shadow AI if it's being used in your environment. And then that way you can have some, discussions on moving to Copilot.
And I'll add to that. It's a tool that's out there. And like any tool, if it's used right, it can be okay. But you as a company need to sit down and decide what you want. We're happy to help you with that, but I've actually helped a couple partners sit down, and we've written policies. But you need to decide what you do and don't want your employees to do. We can go over the goods and bads. A perfect example is you take something like Copilot, it's integrated, you have Microsoft's protections, great. If you use a paid for version of ChatGPT or Claude, there's some things you need to know, you need to be careful about. I wouldn't put my P&L in there and some of the other things, but if people are trained properly and your policies allow it, then there's things that you can do, but you do need to have do's and don'ts. So there's not one simple answer for every company. Unless you want to say, I want to be 100% protected, then what we do is we block all except for the ones that you guys want, or we block them all except for the ones that you paid for. So hopefully that's a good answer.
And I have one more question. So it says, if we're starting Copilot, who should be the first people that we choose?
So that varies from company to company, but what we typically have this is executives. We'll have CEOs, CFOs, or people in specific departments. Where we see it a lot in construction, project managers are really big with it. In every company, finance is huge because everyone in finance, and I say finance, it could be accounting, anything with numbers, those employees tend to do a lot of stuff with spreadsheets. I'll give you another example. I sat down with a company and they have these crazy spreadsheets. They're all linked together, and they were telling me and they were showing me what they do every month with their spreadsheets. So we went through it and we actually put in there, hey, can you create a formula to do these things? And it actually came up, created the formula. We had to make a couple of edits, but the CFO looked at me and said, you just saved us about 100 man hours a month. And I was like, can I have 10%? The answer was no. But the key there is we found a solution to pay for, and it's not always in 5 seconds you find it. It takes some time, it takes some learning, but like any tool, if you spend the time to learn it and you use it right, it's going to pay for itself.
Yeah, I would just add that it's just important, whoever you choose to get those licenses. I do agree that sometimes at the executive level is a good place to start on one hand, because they probably already have access to everything. So you don't necessarily need to stop on that if they already have access to everything. Although a lot of times those people are very busy, and maybe they may fall into the like, well, I'll get to it when I get to it. So it is essential that anytime you are looking at implementing Copilot in your organization, that there is some training involved, and that's something that Nevtec can also help with. Sharing best practices, sharing your prompts even, to make sure that people are using it the way that it's intended. Otherwise, like if you have people in your organization that are like dying to use AI, or maybe super users of another tool, it'd be great to give them that tool, because they're going to try to do everything they can to see how it can benefit them. So that's also another good place to start.
It's a good point. And just to finally add on that, started with people who are excited about it, who want to use it, and that you let them know that you will be monitoring it. Because, with the Copilot plans and pricing, I'm just going to say, depending on what you have or don't have, it's probably somewhere between $12 or $18 and $30 a month. So when you're spending the money, we just want to make sure that the money's being spent wisely. And, we're not here to sell licenses. We're here to create value. So happy to work with you guys on that. Happy to come up with those ideas. Again, I want to respect everybody's time. So I'm going to shut up. And if anybody else has any questions, please put it in the Q&A, or if not, we can let you guys all go.
There is one more.
Okay.
Will Copilot or AI replace my employees?
So that's also another tricky question. What I would say is, we don't view that as a yes. We view AI, first of all, where we're at with AI, I don't think artificial intelligence is the proper term. I call it artificial assistance. It's there helping you. AI mostly is going through a bunch of data and give you summations. And so it's assisting you and making you faster, more efficient. right now, I believe wholeheartedly that AI is a tool to take your existing staff who is probably overworked and make them more efficient, make them able to do more with less. So we're looking at creating, improving productivity, improving efficiency, and helping your bottom line. What I believe that AI is eventually going to come into is, as we make our staff do more with less by adding these tools, we will need less FTEs, which is really good because then we're hiring less people. So I don't really see it replacing people, replacing people's current jobs. I do see it delaying the need for additional staff until we get experts at it, grow our businesses, and then we will need to hire more people. So I see a huge stunt in growth, in hiring, but then I'm also seeing an aggressive growth once people get it down.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And I didn't include this slide in here, but I believe that in a work trend index, the Microsoft survey that they participate in, it shows that like 85% of people feel like they can't get their regular work done in a day. And so, you know, and I know that I have felt like that at many times in my life. I couldn't work on strategic initiatives because I was like researching, you know, like he was saying, I was like researching companies that I needed to outbound to and doing all the legwork and doing all the stuff. So yeah, I agree that, you know, right now I feel like Copilot will help you, you know, automate some of the administrative processes and things that you're working on, and will allow you or open up more time to work on more strategic initiatives and get everything done. And then also, not to mention, when I was in that position, when I felt like I could never get anything done or I couldn't finish anything, I felt pretty miserable and I was like totally stressed out. And so this actually like will help people feel better about their work-life balance. I mean, honestly, it's not saying, hey, you can leave 4 hours early because you're saving all this time, but it's not like you're just running and running and running and not getting anything done. So I think like for that part, it's not necessarily replacing people, but I think it's making it better for everybody.
Yeah. And one last thing I'll leave you guys on is there's not one solution that's perfect. Copilot's amazing. I love Copilot. I can't live without Copilot. But I will say I use other AI tools. They all have their strengths, which I can get into you guys more if anyone's interested. But there's a lot of AI tools out there. Each has their strengths. And I will tell you, I'm common. I take 2 AI agents and I'll ask them both the same question and say, this one told me this and that one told me that. So there's a lot of things that you can do. And again, it's about how do we get these tools? If we're going to invest $1, how do we get $5 savings out of it, right? That's the goal with AI. It's not, hey guys, we're here to sell you a bunch of AI stuff and make our tiny little profit on its software. That's not it. Create the efficiencies and help you guys grow your businesses. So hopefully we grow with you. I know we're about 10 minutes over. So again, I will say thank you for your time. I'm happy to stay here more. If there's more questions, if not, we will let you guys go and give your day back.
That was it on the questions. I think we can wrap up. First off, Julie Hodges, Steve Neverve, thank you so much. Excellent presentation. Learned a lot of new things about Copilot and AI today. Everyone else, once again, I'll be sharing the presentation and the deck, and Steve and his team is available to you. So you will be getting this QR code that we showed you, as well as clients. Just reach out to the team and schedule your Copilot Readiness consultation. All right, we are going to wrap up. I'm going to end the event. Julie, Steve, any last thoughts before I click end?
No, but just thank everybody for their time.
Yeah, thank you all.
Hey, have a great day, everybody. Cheers.